Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Tanukalsi, Assistant Professor from Government Degree College, Dharampur from Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla. Today we are going to talk on module Corporate Social Responsibility, Why and How from the paper Human Values and Indian Ethos. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand the concept of corporate social responsibility, describe the key drivers behind corporate social responsibility, discuss various challenges for corporate social responsibility, explain major provisions under Companies Act 2013 with regard to corporate social responsibility. Introduction. In today's fast expanding and media savvy world, companies are no longer expected to provide just good quality products at reasonable prices. They should also strive to make their activities environmentally sound, follow high labor standards, mitigate poverty, and reduce human rights abuses, and thus carrying out social responsibilities in a broader perspective along with profit motives. Meaning and definitions. Corporate social responsibility, as per the World Business Council, means that companies should behave ethically and contribute to economic development while improving the quality of life of workforce and their families as well as of the local community and society at large. UNIDO defined CSR as a management concept whereby companies integrate social and environmental concerns in their business operations and interactions with their stakeholders. The well-accepted definition of CSR is not a common term. MNCs prefer sustainable development or sustainable business, whereas many Indian companies talk about responsible business or 3 Ps: people, profit, and planet, while incorporating CSR in their core business strategies. Till very recently, CSR was considered as philanthropic activity, but nowadays it has become an integral part of organizations' business strategy. A company is now responsible for providing more benefits than just profits to the shareholders. It is expected to treat its employees well, preserve environment, develop sound corporate governance, support philanthropy, foster human rights, and respect cultural differences. It will create a positive impact on the communities, societies, cultures, and environments in which the companies operate. Shareholders, customers, and clients get attracted towards the companies that demonstrate social responsibility. Today, the concept of CSR had undergone a drastic change. Social as well as environmental issues are integrated into companies' missions and strategies. Companies take keen interest in making their stakeholders aware about their CSR activities. Across the world, business organizations have undertaken CSR initiatives in the areas of healthcare, water conservation, rural welfare, poverty alleviation, education, environment protection, community development projects, culture and heritage, biodiversity, disaster management and relief, green environment, product responsibility, good governance, waste management, and gender equality. Many business enterprises have been involved in CSR for decades. The Tata Group of companies, the Birlas, and sub-public sector units have set up hospitals, schools, colleges, and carry out development works to improve the quality of life of employees and communities around them. However, it is only in the past few years that CSR has been viewed as a significant business activity and part of companies' core strategy. Key drivers behind corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility has gained momentum with greater consumer awareness and involvement in social issues. Another key driver is the increasing importance of corporate market reputation. Shrinking financial resources of government has led to the exploration of voluntary initiatives by corporates for handling civic issues. Employees now look beyond paychecks and benefits. Investors have changed the way they evaluate companies' performance. There is demand for more transparency and accountability on the part of companies. Some experts opined that a CSR project can begin in response to a crisis or adverse publicity that a company may suffer. Companies Act 2013 has made it compulsory for companies of certain size CSR initiatives. Infosys has set up development centers dedicated to healthcare and education and for skills development and community welfare. Under its Corporate Service Corps program, IBM joined hands with Tribal Development Department of Gujarat for a development project aimed at upliftment of tribals in Sasan area of Gir forest. Companies located in rural areas where their operations directly affect the environment around them, such as manufacturing, mining, power generations, etc., undertake rural development projects, rehabilitation of displaced communities, environment issues, and so on as CSR projects. Challenges for CSR. CSR, that is Corporate Social Responsibility, practitioners face lots of challenges in managing the activities. The major problem is lack of funds followed by lack of support from employees and lack of its understanding as well. Lack of professionalism and absence of training are other problems for reduced CSR initiatives. Small organizations do not take proper interest in CSR activities, and those which undertake some efforts fail to disclose it to the society. In the process, they lose public trust on them. General public does not take much interest in participating or contributing to CSR activities of companies due to little or not knowledge about it. Media can help in informing people at large about CSR activities or projects taken up by the companies. It can sensitize people and make them aware of various benefits of the CSR activities done by them. But media is not doing enough in this regard. Times of India Group conducted an online survey by using questionnaire on CSR with a sample size of 250 companies engaged in CSR. A total of 82 organizations comprising of 11 public sector undertakings, 32 private multinational organizations and 39 private national agencies responded to the questionnaire. The survey elicited responses from organizations about challenges for CSR initiatives in different parts of the country. These responses were characterized by the research team and are explained below. Lack of community participation. Local community has less interest in participating and contributing to corporate social responsibility activities of companies. The reason behind this is the little or no knowledge about the CSR activities within the local communities. Considerable efforts have never been made to spread awareness about CSR and develop confidence in local communities about such activities or initiatives. There is lack of communication between the community and company at the grassroots. Next is need to build local capacities. The capacity building of local non-government organizations is required. There is shortage of trained and efficient organizations that can significantly contribute to the ongoing CSR activities or projects of the companies. This seriously limits the scope of corporate social responsibility activities. Next is non-availability of well-organized NGOs. Well-organized non-government organizations or NGOs are not available in rural and remote areas. Therefore, it becomes difficult to access real needs of the community and work with the companies in true sense to ensure successful implementation of corporate social responsibility activities. NGOs should be motivated to work with the corporate houses by building the capacities to undertake the development projects at local level. Next is visibility factor. Media can help in highlighting the good cases of successful corporate social responsibility initiatives. It can spread good stories and sensitize local community about various CSR initiatives of the organizations. This apparent influence of gaining visibility, popularity, and branding exercise most often leads various NGOs to involve themselves in event-based programs. In such attempt, they usually miss out real and meaningful grassroots interventions. Next is transparency issues. Lack of transparency is the major issue highlighted by the companies participated in the survey. They argued that local implementing agencies do not make adequate efforts to disclose information on their programs. Impact assessment and utilization of funds. Lack of transparency on various issues has negative impact on the process of trust of building between communities and companies, which is necessary for the success of any CSR programs at the local level. Next is lack of consensus on implementing CSR issues. Local agencies and companies have lack of consensus regarding CSR projects. This often results in duplication of efforts by corporate houses in areas of their intervention. Moreover, local implementing agencies compete with each other rather than building a collaborative approach on real issues. This factor makes it difficult for the companies to undertake impact assessment of their corporate social responsibility initiatives from time to time. Next is narrow perception towards CSR initiatives. Non-government organizations and government agencies often define corporate social responsibility initiatives as more donor-driven than local in approach. This results their narrow outlook towards these initiatives of the companies. As a result, companies find it difficult to decide whether they should participate in corporate social responsibility activities at all in medium and long run. Many a times, it is observed that partnerships between all stakeholders, including local communities, government, private sector, and society in general, are not effectively operational at grassroots level in the CSR domain. This often creates barriers in implementing the corporate social responsibility initiatives. Recommendations. Awareness about CSR amongst the general public should be created to make CSR initiatives more effective. Companies should involve their stakeholders for building meaningful and long-term partnerships. There is a need to revive existing policies and strategies for CSR initiatives. Collective efforts and cooperative attitude of local communities, business houses, government and general public are necessary to make CSR initiatives a grand success. Only medium and large corporate houses are involved in CSR activities. The involvement of small enterprises in CSR domain is needed to have wide geographical coverage. Many CSR programs or initiatives are taken up in urban areas. Companies should also consider their interventions in rural areas on health, unemployment, education, child labor, and girl child, as this will directly benefit rural people. The government should consider rewarding corporate houses for implementing projects that effectively cover the poor and underprivileged. CSR as a subject or discipline should be made compulsory at all business schools, colleges, and universities. An accreditation mechanism should be set up for companies through an independent agency for institutionalizing CSR activities, Companies Act 2013 and CSR. Clause 135 of Companies Act 2013 provides that every company having a net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or a turnover of rupees 1000 crore or more, or having a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more during any financial year shall create a CSR committee having 3 or more directors, one of whom must be an independent director. Allocate at least 2% of the net profits exclusively for implementing CSR activities. formulating a corporate social responsibility policy that will provide details about which activities will be undertaken by the company and the amount or budget that will be spent on them. Moreover, this should also be displayed on company's website. Report the details of all CSR initiatives undertaken by the company at the end of each year in director's report and on company's website. The 2% CSR spending is required to be computed as 2% of the average net profits made by the company during every block of last 3 years. Further, the net profit will be before tax and will not include profits arising from branches outside India. Scope of CSR activities. Schedule 7 has mentioned the 10 areas where the amount earmarked for fulfilling CSR can be spent. Eradicating poverty, hunger and malnutrition, making available safe drinking water and promoting sanitation. Promoting education, including employment enhancing vocation skills, especially for women, elderly, differently abled and children, and livelihood enhancement projects. Promoting gender equality, setting up hostels and homes for orphan and women, empowering women, setting up daycare centers, old age homes and other such facilities for senior citizens, and specific measures for upliftment of socially and economically backward group. Contribution provided by technology incubators located within academic institutions which are improved by the central government. Projects for rural development. Development of slum area declared or notified as slum added on 6th August 2014. Guidelines for CSR policy. The rules of the new Act have clarified about what the CSR policy should and shouldn't include. The policy should specify CSR projects or programs which are to be undertaken by the company during the implementation year. It should also specify modalities of execution and implementation schedule for each project and program. In specifying CSR projects or programs, the policy should give preference to local areas around a company. There may be integration of business models with environmental and social priorities and processes through CSR projects or programs to create shared value. It needs to be clear that any financial surplus generated through CSR activity will not be treated as a part of business profits of the company. Summary. In today's fast expanding and media savvy world, companies are no longer expected to provide just good quality products at reasonable prices. They should also strive to make their activities environmentally sound, follow high labor standards, mitigate poverty, and reduce human rights abuses, and thus carrying out the social responsibilities in a broader perspective along with profit motives. Corporate social responsibility, as per the World Business Council, means that companies should behave ethically and contribute to economic development while improving quality of life of workforce and their families, as well as of the local community and society at large. Corporate social responsibility has gained momentum with greater consumer awareness and involvement in social issues. In India, the expectations of people from corporate houses have grown tremendously, with demands focusing on tackling unemployment, fighting inequality, poverty alleviation, or forcing the companies to take affirmative action on environment protection, shrinking government funds, more demand for transparency, increasing importance of corporate market reputation in the valuation of a company are other factors which are responsible for increasing importance of CSR. Companies Act 2013 has made it compulsory for companies of certain size to spend at least 2% of their average net profits of last 3 years for CSR activities as mentioned in Schedule 7 of the Act. Such companies are required to form CSR committee and CSR policy and report the details of all the CSR initiatives undertaken by the company at the end of each year in directors' reports and also on the company's website. Factors like lack of community participation, non-availability of well-organized NGOs, lack of transparency on the part of local implementing agencies, lack of consensus on implementing CSR issues, narrow perception towards CSR initiatives act as barriers in implementing the CSR initiatives. Awareness about CSR amongst the general public, involvement of various stakeholders in the company's corporate social responsibility projects, reviewing the company's existing policies and strategies for corporate social responsibility initiatives, involvement of small enterprises in CSR domain, pooling of resources and building synergies by NGOs and corporate houses will help in making CSR initiatives more fruitful. Thank you.